Billionaire CEO panics without a Chinese translator, until a black janitor takes over and... The New York skyline glittered outside the glass tower where Jonathan Pierce, one of America's most feared billionaire CEOs, was about to close the biggest deal of his career. The Chinese delegation had flown in that morning, 5 men in sharp suits, their expressions unreadable. Billions of dollars were on the line. Reporters swarmed the lobby. Investors watched from the gallery. But there was one problem. The translator hadn't shown up. Jonathan's executives scrambled, their polished confidence crumbling. Phones buzzed, assistants whispered frantically. The Chinese delegation grew impatient, murmuring among themselves in Mandarin. Jonathan slammed his hand on the table. Find me someone. Anyone. I don't care if it costs a fortune, just get me a translator. The room froze when a quiet voice spoke up from the corner. I can do it. Heads turned. Standing there in a faded uniform, mop still in hand, was David Hale, the building's janitor. A man no one had ever noticed. The executives burst into laughter. You. Don't waste our time. But David didn't flinch. He set down the mop, straightened his back, and looked the CEO dead in the eye. Sir, I speak fluent Mandarin. Let me help. Jonathan's jaw tightened. It sounded absurd, but he had no choice. The deal was seconds from collapsing. Fine, he snapped. Prove it. David walked to the head of the table. For the first time, he wasn't invisible. He listened to the Chinese chairman, then spoke. His Mandarin flowed smoothly, elegant and precise. The delegation's eyes widened. The laughter in the room died instantly. What followed was surreal. David translated flawlessly, every idiom, every cultural nuance, every subtle shift in tone. He didn't just speak the words, he understood them. He caught jokes, explained traditions, and even rescued Jonathan when he nearly insulted their partners with a careless phrase. Within minutes, the atmosphere changed. The tension dissolved. The Chinese delegation leaned forward, smiling, nodding. For the first time all day, the deal was alive. But then came the shock. During a pause, the Chinese chairman turned directly to David, not Jonathan. He switched to Mandarin and asked, "Why are you working as a janitor?" David hesitated. He glanced at the billionaire. Then he answered quietly, "Because after my wife died, I had to take any job I could to raise my son. Cleaning floors was steady work. But language was always my gift." The chairman's face softened. He spoke again, this time with authority. "A man like you doesn't belong with a mop. You belong at the table." And just like that, the delegation refused to continue negotiations, unless David remained their translator, their bridge. The billionaire CEO stared, stunned. The janitor he had walked past 1,000 times was now the key to sealing the biggest deal of his life. By the end of the night, the contract was signed. Billions secured. Cameras flashed as Jonathan shook hands with the delegation. But the world saw who they truly respected, David, the janitor who had saved it all. Reporters swarmed him, demanding answers. Jonathan's executives could barely look him in the eye. And as the billionaire CEO left the building, he stopped David at the door. "You just saved my career," he said quietly. "Name your price." David only shook his head. "I don't want money. Just opportunity. A chance to build something better for my son." The CEO's face hardened, then softened. For once, the men who had everything realized he had overlooked the one person who had the most. That night, David didn't just walk out as a janitor. He walked out as the man who reminded a billionaire what real power looked like. Because sometimes, the greatest translators don't just speak language. They speak truth.